Hello and welcome to Queendom TV, and today I'm going to be continuing discussing Jesy Nelson. Today we're going to be talking about body shaming and things that people don't really understand about being a fuller figured woman. Before I get into that, I just want to say a huge thank you to all my subscribers, to all the baddies, and to everybody who supports my content. I'm so grateful to have you all, and I love you all dearly. Thank you all for your patience and for all of your support with everything. If you want to hear more about all of this and you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my Jesy Nelson playlist. You can watch it from the beginning and it's going to catch you up to everything that's going on. But without further ado, let's get into this. And I really feel grateful to discuss this subject, for Jesy, or in her name, I guess, in her support is what I'm trying to say, because it's something that I actually relate to. I can relate to myself, because it's weird for me to even say fuller figured women or like curvaceous women or whatever, because as I mentioned in my previous video, she was never big. She was never like obese. She was never big. She was just bigger than the girls in Little Mix, right? And I think there are some things that I started to notice going through the research and just seeing, observing their outfits, observing the outfits even just that the other girls enjoy, maybe not necessarily when they're in Little Mix. And I started to, I wanted to kind of highlight, how difficult it can actually be as a woman with different body types. And I'm only speaking, I'm not saying this doesn't exist for men, because of course it does, guys. It's just I don't have that experience. So if there's any guys watching this and you guys want to share on this, I would love to hear about this in the comment section. Please do. But I'm going to speak from the female perspective, because that's my perspective and I can relate to what Jesy's gone through. And I think there was one thing that I noticed, is that, her having the figure that she has versus the figure that the girls had. And the girls were quite slim, or are quite slim, So she, to me, is more representative towards the average woman, more so than the rest of the girls, which again, nothing wrong with anybody's body type. I've said this all the time on my channel. I think everybody is beautiful the way God made them and intended for them to be. And I think we should celebrate everybody exactly as they are. And I think everybody is beautiful exactly as they are, right? So let's just get that out the way. But one thing that I wanted to just say is that, I think it can be difficult for women, and I've experienced this myself, that's why I'm speaking about it. It can be difficult for us as women sometimes to fully understand what each other goes through based on, what type of body that we have. I, as somebody who probably has more of the body type, say, of down the Jesy route than the other girls, I know that I've, in conversations I've had with girls who are like slimmer than I am, they would be like, there's certain things that they don't understand. Like, I've had people tell me like, oh, of course you can wear this. You'd probably look good in this top. And I'm like, no, I won't look good in that top. And sometimes it's not about my value of myself. It's not about me trying to be self-deprecating. It's because my body type does not suit that particular item, and I think these are some of the things that people didn't really understand enough with when it came to Jesy, in my opinion. Because sometimes when I'd see them like wearing clothes, wearing certain things, and she'd be like, oh, I feel like I look horrible, and they'd be like, no, you look fine, or you look great, or you will look fine, or you will look great. It's like, well, you don't know that. Maybe you got to be understanding of how she feels, because maybe she doesn't feel that way. Especially when it comes to things like, obviously a lot of the clothes, some of the clothes that they would wear would be kind of risque, and have more of their skin out and stuff. If you're somebody who's of a very slim figure, it's a lot easier for you to feel comfortable. It can be easier for you to feel comfortable just wearing whatever, right? But when you're of a bigger figure, some of the things, like, for example, right, I'll tell you guys one thing that I think sometimes when I watch people with certain when I see certain outfits, right, of people who are significantly slimmer than I am, I think if I was to wear that outfit, people would think that I was looking X-rated. Like, this is not even acceptable to be seen. You know what I mean? By most people, like, this is something that has to be like an over 18 content kind of thing. And the reason why I say that is because when our bodies can all be different, and the vibe that people get, this is just something true. I learned this from myself growing up. People would sometimes say to me, like, they feel like I've dressed provocatively because I'm wearing something tight, because I've got a more curvaceous body. But it's like, that's just, you wouldn't say that to somebody who was slimmer wearing the same exact dress, right? And when I say that because I've had to learn that, okay, based on my body type, there are things that the way that people perceive how I look in certain things is different to other body types. And I feel like this is something that, you know, in terms of discussing the other three girls, I feel like this is something that it's hard for people to understand. And I feel like for them, they didn't really get it. That's just my perspective based on what I've seen from like what you guys have been sending, from my observations. Like I said, I don't think they really got it. And I think there's this idea that sometimes I've experienced this where, first of all, people will tell you that you look good in something just because they don't want to like you to ruffle the feathers. So for example, like in my view, if the other girls really liked how they looked, and because there's three of them who all look very similar in body type, and then there's Jesy stepping out and saying she doesn't want to dress in that, you know, they could feel annoyed because they're like, well, the rest of us are wanting to do this, you're just leaving it out. So I feel like some of the time, in my opinion, they're probably telling her, yeah, she looks great in something, maybe not necessarily because they believe that, maybe just so that they can continue wearing that thing and they don't want to give up wearing what they want to wear. You know, I think sometimes people can sense that. Like I've sensed that before, and I know other women can sense when somebody's just telling you something because they don't want to ruffle the feathers. You know, they don't want to go out of the way to say, oh, let's go back to the drawing board now and find something that everybody's comfortable in. And I feel that, you know, as women, being comfortable, and as people, not just as women, as people, it's important for us to feel comfortable in what we're wearing. You know, it's a part of your personality. That's why I think so much of Jesy's personality, even if you look at it, is her dressing in her dress sense changed so much when she was in Little Mix to when she was out, and it was the same as like when it was before, because that's what she felt comfortable in. That's what her style was. You know, even when I've been reading these articles you guys have been sending, it's so interesting, like seeing how the people writing the articles describe her outfit and what that outfit statement is saying to them. You know, how she likes to wear boots, she likes to wear camouflage stuff, she likes to wear baggy clothes, you know. And I love her fashion style. I really like her fashion style personally. I'm one of those females who like I like when us women can do something other than being naked. Don't mean that to be rude in any way, but I love it when we can be stylish and we can be cool and we can have a vibe without having to be naked. That's just my thing. Like, and no shade to anybody who wants to be naked, you know, or who wants to dress, you know, with less material, whatever. I just think it's cool. That's just my personal perspective. That's just my personal opinion. Like I said, nothing against anybody else. So, her expressing herself, the fact is it changes something about you. The way that we dress and the way that we feel and the way we look, it does say something. You know, it does say something. And when you can feel good about it, when you can wear something that makes you feel good, you do feel good, you know. And so I think that a lot of this body shaming and people calling her, I think people saying the things that she was saying, they were saying about her, people being calling her fat, saying she's the fat one and all this stuff, which is just crazy, you know, is made it worse for her when she's then doing, you know, fittings with, you know, Little Mix and the rest of them. Because imagine being there, you know, having all this hate, probably still getting the hate pinging on your phone even while you're in the fitting, and then the other girls, you're wearing an outfit where like you've got a lot of your skin on show, maybe your stomach's on show, whatever. Maybe all the girls want to wear a crop top, maybe like I really don't want to wear a crop top today, you know. And people are not really understanding that like this is a big deal for you, like, and this is not something you can just overlook, you know. Because I think there was a pressure with her to just kind of get over it, you know. And a lot of these things, you can't just get over them. You can't just pretend it's not happening, you know what I mean? And especially because their business, and this is something else that I think this is one of the reasons I think body issues and stuff affects, you know, entertainers so much. Because sometimes I say to myself, oh, I wish you guys could just ignore them, you know. But the truth is, it is us who allows for them to have their platform. It's us who supports them. So to some extent, although I've said, and I will always say, that, you know, they're doing what they do and we don't have an entitlement as such to expect them to do something in a certain way because we've said it. But their career is only because of the fans and the people that support them. So there is a certain level of pressure that's always going to exist, and expectation, particularly when you're in a brand that brands itself off of, you know, the girls being, although they're different, they're more seen as a group. They're not seen as like distinctive girls. Like you see like how with the Spice Girls, they all had their distinctive look. I feel like Jesy could have thrived more in that kind of environment where she could have just been her distinctive self and they were all distinctive. But Little Mix had a look and a sound that they came with together in one thing, and they had their own like little iteration, if you will, of that look, but it was all one thing, you know. And so I think for her, you know, she was already conforming to the look of Little Mix. And then inside of that, it was almost like, as a part of Little Mix was there was this like this invisible hidden like thing where you have to, where they sided more towards the things that suited, you know, the slimmer members of the group, which was 3 of them. And I guess, you know, some could argue that they were the majority and so on and so forth. But some could also argue, and I'm on this side of arguing this argument, that if they're a group, if they're a group of girls who care about each other, who want them all to succeed, they should be catering to everyone. Because at the end of the day, and I love watching, like, there's some great videos on YouTube that I like to watch. Like, I'm not big on watching clothing videos, to be honest. But the ones that I do love is where they'll have like somebody who's size 8 and somebody who's size 16 trying on the exact same outfits. They'll try like the same outfit on, and they'll do like 5 different outfits, and they'll compare how that exact outfit looks like between the 2 of them. And I love those videos because it helps to highlight to us, you know, as women, as people, that, you know, we all look different in different, all look better in different things. You know, we all feel better in different things. Because when you watch those kinds of videos, and you guys can check them out, you'll see what I mean. And you'll see like some of the issues that come when you've got a different figure to somebody else, you know. Like, you'll see in there that sometimes it will be the smaller, the size 8 person who looks better in a certain outfit. Sometimes it'll be the size 16. Then you start to see some of the issues that come with clothing to do with us as women, you know. Like, for example, if you're a fuller bust, that's something, if you're a fuller bust female, a lot of shirts are not made for fuller bust females. So you either find, sometimes people feel like females are showing too much bust because, but actually it's the shirt, you know, or maybe you have to change what size shirt you're wearing now to cater to your bust. If you're a smaller bust individual, you might not know what that's like. You know what I mean? And it works on both ways. On all sides, there are different things, you know. And so we've got to be understanding to each other, you know, as women, and we've got to be supportive. And I think the goal should have been all along, and this is where I feel like people didn't really do what they could have done, is the goal should have been all along, what can we wear so that everybody feels happy? And like, I wasn't there, and if you guys know any sources, if you guys can tell me maybe who like their costume designers and stuff are, please let me know who these people are. I can go and check out their stuff, or if there's anywhere I can see that they've spoken about it, or if you've already sent me something, I will get to it. So don't feel like you have to resend me anything. If ever I haven't spoke about something that you've sent, just know I'm going to get to it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to get there, guys. You're all bearing with me, so I appreciate it. But I feel like the costume designers and the people should have been saying, you know, what are we going to wear that everybody is comfortable in? You know, and I've been there myself. I've had a dance group. This is why I can say stuff like this. Like, in my dance group, the different girls have different body types. In a lot of stuff that I've done, shows and stuff, I have to deal with different people with different body types. So it's like, how do we find an outfit that everybody feels comfortable in? How do we adjust outfits so everybody still looks good and feels comfortable? And I'm not just saying, like, you know, sometimes people will do a half-ass attempt at that, and they'll say, oh, well, if you feel self-conscious about your arms, then just wear a long sleeve shirt underneath. I don't mean that. I mean, how are we all going to feel 10 out? How are we going to make outfits for all of us so we all feel 10 out of 10 at the end of the day, you know? And I do feel like, from what Jesy has said, those are the things that were left that were not happening enough, in my opinion, based on what she said. And also, from what I have seen of what the girls have said in a lot of these interviews and stuff, I don't think they understood that this was where she was coming from. I don't think they've been there. Because if you've been somebody like, and I think about this sometimes, and I think about stuff like, you know, like body, when you're like, because like I said, we've all got different bodies, right? When you're doing stuff like wearing stuff like bikinis, right? If you're a very slim, a lot of people who are very slim are very used to just popping into a bikini and not worrying about it and not thinking about it, especially if you're naturally slim. Because the other thing that people don't talk about when it comes to body types and stuff is that everybody's bodies are different. You know, you have women who are full figured as well, who no matter what they eat, no matter what they do, their body stays pretty much the same, right? You have slim people like that. Different people are different. And so different people we have to be understanding that not everybody gets to live in the same reality that we do. So for somebody like Jesy, I can imagine when she said that it shocked her that she had 3 weeks before she knew about this Sweet Melody shoot, and that she started starving herself. I understood where she was coming from, because I've been in the situations myself where I'm like, whoa, you have something, and if you might want to lose a bit of weight to look better or to be in better shape or something for something, that might not be something somebody else is thinking about. somebody else might not be thinking. That might not be something that's even, like, they might just be living their life. That's not something they've ever had to think about. And so I'm not saying everybody has to do deep research into all the different body types and all the different, you know, ways that people's bodies function, but be understanding. And especially in a group of people who have been together for 10 years and with all these teams that have been together with them and all that stuff, I really feel like there could have been more effort there to kind of understand where she was coming from. And, you know, even if it's just to let her know, you know, in advance, like, by the way, we're going to be doing the shoot, not just giving her 3 weeks notice, although that is the industry. But then I also think if she knew she was going to be catered to as much as she needed, she wouldn't feel that pressure. You know, she wouldn't feel like she needs to be stuck, zipped up in the corset or whatever, you know. As she said, she's mentioned many times being in a corset and not barely being able to even breathe, because that's what she wanted to do, so she could look slimmer like the other girls, you know. And so even from that standpoint, you know, I don't know if people were advising her to lose weight behind the scenes. I feel like the fact that she even had to lose weight in the beginning or felt that she needed to is really sad, because she shouldn't have to feel that way. She wasn't unhealthy from what I could tell. I'm not a licensed professional in that area, but, you know, she looked good. I didn't think she had to lose weight. In fact, when I saw that she was making such an effort to lose weight, I felt really bad for her. I was like, I feel so bad that she feels like she has to do this. Like, why does she feel like she has to do this, you know? And obviously it's because of what people were saying. It's also because of, you know, being in those situations. Also because I think a lot of people just were not understanding where she was coming from, and that when you have a different body type to somebody, and it goes both ways, you know, it goes different ways with different people with different things, you know, because I've even heard people say to me who are slimmer than me, say things about me like, oh, well, I would prefer to have your body type because I like how you look like this in this particular outfit, and I would never be able to pull that off or whatever. You know, it's not like I'm saying that it's not like I'm saying that this issue is only with one individual, one person. I'm just saying that we've got to be understanding to each other. The only way we're going to learn, as well, is if we actually believe each other. And I think for a lot of people around Jesy, unfortunately, it seems that people were more inclined to feel like she was just getting in her head and that things were in her head, or she was letting the trolls get to her, when in reality, I think the reason why a lot of them trolls and people were able to get to her is because she was also facing the issues of comparison, the issues of they want to wear something and she doesn't feel comfortable. What she might have felt, in my opinion, she probably would have felt regardless of the trolls, because she has a way that she feels comfortable. She has outfits she feels like she can wear. And we all have experienced, well, I don't know if you all have, but I know I've experienced it, and I'm sure some of you guys have, where, you know, certain types of clothing don't work for you. Like, people have said to me, like, they think I would look really good in a bralette, right? You know, but I know I don't look good in a bralette because they don't make the fitting of it to actually suit my body type. So I've never found one that even fits me. They look really weird, right? You have to learn your body, and when you know your own body, you know what makes you feel good, what makes you look good, right? And hopefully you have people around you who give you honest feedback. And when I say honest feedback, I'm including in that, of course, being positive and saying you look amazing, you know. But sometimes it's nice to hear, you know, I always talk about how, you know, one thing that bothers me about us as women is I think sometimes we're a bit too quick to want to just tell people what we think is going to make them feel nice in the moment, rather than what actually helps them. Like, for me, I don't want friends in my life who are going to tell me that I look good just so that just so that in the moment I feel good. I want friends who are going to be like, if I'm asking you, if I'm wearing a dress and I say to you, do you think I should go out in this dress? And you think no, tell me no, because I'm going to feel so much better, right? If I change outfit and then I wear something that you actually think I look good in, and I think I look good in, and I go out like that, I'm going to feel so much better than somebody else or somewhere else me discovering that I'm not happy that I went out like that, you know. And I think there is a tendency for us, you know, to tell people things just because in the moment it makes them feel good. And it can be hard. It's not nice, you know, when somebody asks you, it's not nice to say, actually, no. But I promise you, in the long run, it's going to be better off. And I feel like for Jesy, I feel like at a certain point, she probably just started to feel like people were just saying stuff to her, you know, as opposed to, or if she herself was looking and feeling like she doesn't look good and somebody's telling her she is, it's like, well, I don't trust your opinion, and you don't, and maybe she wasn't thinking like, you don't have my best interest at heart, but that's what I'm thinking, you know. Whereas if they were acknowledging it, then it would have been better, because I personally feel like part of all of this body shaming stuff, and why I made it into its own video as well, I feel like the girls, through time, I feel like this was one of the key issues that led to where they are now with her, because I think they got very sick of her, you know, needing extra help or understanding in that area, even though it was something that she was facing by herself. That was something she was facing by herself, because she was it would have been different if there was like two, you know, and fuller figured women. Like I said, saying fuller figured sounds crazy, because she wasn't even the average size of a woman like in the UK, right? But if there was like two, you know, fuller figured women, two slimmer women, or better, in my opinion, just a whole bunch of different types of body shaped women, then we wouldn't be talking about this, right? We wouldn't be having this discussion. They probably wouldn't be feeling so annoyed, because there'd be another person probably saying the same thing as her, and they'd be having to work around that as well. But I feel like sometimes when you feel like you're a majority, and also because Jesy was already going through so many other things, was already going through so much, you know, and struggling with so much attack on who she was, you know. I think for the other girls, they were a lot of the time, because there was one point in particular in the Odd One Out documentary that I noticed where and I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, where she was singing. They were just singing a song, and Jesy wanted to redo her vocals, right? And you could tell, to me, the vibe that was coming off of the girls was like, oh my gosh, like, we were happy with this, can we just go, like, this is good, this is great. And Jesy wanted to do it again, so they all went back into the studio. And then Jesy was like, oh, like, I'll feel a lot more comfortable if you guys weren't in here, do you mind, is it okay? Like, and I felt for her, because I could tell she was so uncomfortable. And I just thought to myself, how many times she must be in that situation. And the girls looked kind of like, they were like, oh, can we, like, do we really have to, like, sounds good. And then Jade, I think, said she's very picky. You know, sometimes saying stuff like that's really unhelpful to someone, because sometimes they're really trying to fight for themselves to be happy. And I think with Jesy, she kind of felt like she was walking on eggshells a lot of the time, trying to be able to do what was right for her to feel as confident, because a lot of the other girls, they seemed to feel more confident, you know, doing what they were doing in a lot of senses. And that's not to say that they didn't face their own issues, because they've spoken up about that, you know, and even Jessy's addressed that, you know, and all sorts and stuff. But I'm saying that, you know, sometimes I think you can't, if an issue hasn't gone away, it hasn't gone away. Like, if she's still being targeted for her body type and being called a whale, and if she's still feeling the pressure of having to look like the rest of them, if she's still being compared, which is one of the key reasons why she left, right, is the pressure of having to live up to the standards of looking like the other girls and being compared to them, right? If she's still doing that, then that hasn't gone away. But I feel like eventually the girls kind of just got a bit impatient with that, and they started to get impatient with her. And I think as they started to get impatient, which came from the fact that they couldn't really understand what she was going through, because they've not been through it themselves and they're not going through it, I think eventually that's where they ended up. So now that she's gone off and doing her own thing, I think part of the resentment towards her doing her own thing is kind of like, it's almost like, how can she be so happy now? And I feel like part of the reason she's so happy now is because she can just be herself, because she doesn't have to feel bad if she wants to do another take. She doesn't have to feel bad if she doesn't want to wear this and she wants to wear that. She can wear what she wants to wear. You know, even working with somebody like Nicki Minaj is somebody who's got a similar body, more similar body type to her. So Nicki Minaj can understand what she would and wouldn't want to wear, and probably more easily understand the things that she's faced, you know, with her body and stuff like that. And so that's why I think, you know, when it comes to this body stuff, that we've got to be honest, we've got to be understanding to each other as human beings, that like, we've got different body types, and we've got to prioritize somebody feeling good within themselves. Like, you can tell somebody 100 times, you know, that they're beautiful or they look good. If they don't feel beautiful, that matters. How somebody feels, it matters. You know, I had to have this conversation with God myself, and I was talking to him about, like, you know, when people say things to me, if I don't believe them, like, does that matter? You know, does it matter? And he's like, yes, of course it matters. It matters. How? Because I've given you your own free right and your will, and I want you to feel good about yourself. You know, Jesus came to give you life and life abundantly. Like, that's the whole purpose. So there is no point you having to like live off of the belief of what everybody else thinks. That's not logical. That's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to have that internally. And I think Jesy had that in the beginning, because she'd experienced love and acceptance the way that she was then. She lost that, obviously, in those 10 years, continually being compared to the other girls. And in my opinion, them not fully understanding where she was coming from, and the fact that, like, yeah, they might not be going through the same exact thing. They go through different versions of it, you know. And honestly, if I'm being really, really, really honest, I find it a little bit distasteful, in my opinion, the people, particularly the toxic mixers, who try to talk about the issues the other girls face to do with their bodies, and try and say that like Jesy wasn't being understanding, because whichever way you want to look at it, she definitely received the most hate for her body. And she, if we're just looking at them, she was different to the other girls in her body the most. So not taking away from the other girls, like I've already said, I truly believe and understand that we all face, you know, body issues, people criticizing us, whether it's they think we're too small, whether it's that they think we're too big, whether it's that we feel comfortable in this, we don't, or whatever. But let's be honest, because sometimes I feel like when people are trying to speak on their own truth, other people want to bring up another truth and another truth, and it dilutes somebody else's problems. You know, if people could just take, I think there's a place now I'm trying to create the place where so many people wanted to put Jesy's feelings aside and talk about everything else. I'm going to speak from her perspective, you know, to give her potential view, which I don't know. I don't know Jesy personally, so please, I'm just saying from from what I can see, from things that she said, and from things that have happened, from my observations, you know, from things that you guys have sent, that, you know, I feel like she needs to get her turn to actually be heard. Because as much as people feel like she's been heard, I don't think she has, because I feel like if she truly had been, then there wouldn't be so much hate flying around, and we wouldn't be having people in these comment sections saying ridiculous things and making up lies because against her. We wouldn't still have people, you know, trying to target the way that she looks or whatever and stuff like that. And even now that she's left, it's almost like that's people still almost make it about that. Almost like, I feel like a lot of people just feel like, of course she was gonna leave because like she was the fat one. Like, I feel like she can't get away from that, and that's just so sad to me. Again, in this day and age where we're all mental health awareness, we're all body positivity, we're all this, where is that now? You know, where was that for Jesy? And I hope we're going to have that more now. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below about all of this. Like I said, this isn't a Little Mix hate train against the other girls at all. I'm just highlighting, you know, how for Jesy, she is having a different perspective that if you're not in her situation, might be difficult for you to understand. That's all I'm trying to say. If you want to see the other videos I've done about Jesy, check out my Jesy Nelson playlist. Don't forget to subscribe, guys, if you want to hang around. I'm going to be posting new Jesy videos every day at 9 p.m. for now, at least, as I'm putting all this stuff out. So if you want to send me anything, all the information in the description box. If you want to email me because you want to dodge anybody seeing you or some of these toxic mixes coming for you, feel free to send me an email. All emails are anonymous unless you guys specifically say that you want me to mention your name. Also, then we'll get to my Instagram DMs, guys. I'm so thankful to all the support and for everybody thanking me. I thank you guys for being so lovely and kind towards me and being patient with me. I'm so grateful for you all. For you baddies, also to you guys, my subscribers, also to my viewers and everything. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Goodbye.